Am I the asshole for not telling my sister I'm pregnant too, then not apologizing enough? Let me start by saying my sister, 36F, and I, 34F, have had a rocky relationship. I had a childhood illness that meant a lot of attention was focused on me instead of her, which she has resented me for. I admit that in my teen years and adult life I've had some pretty selfish, attention-seeking moments, but that I'm still trying to work on myself because it's not who I want to be. In February my husband, 36M, and I found out I was pregnant. Even though I had health issues I wasn't considered high risk, but we still decided not to tell anyone until the 12-week scan, including family, just in case. In March, my sister texts me saying she's missed her period, taken a test and is pregnant too. I called her and congratulated her but didn't tell her I was also pregnant because of what my husband and I agreed. This was grievance number 1 because she says I lied to her by not telling her the truth. As time went on I didn't know how I was going to tell her I was pregnant too. I didn't want to steal her spotlight or take any attention away from her like I did with my childhood cancer, but I also admit that I didn't want us to compare pregnancies or have our parents compare us. I guess I didn't want to share my spotlight either. After the 12-week scan we agreed to tell parents, but because I didn't know how to tell my sister I thought it best to tell my parents then ask their opinion on how to do it. We had both sets of parents over and told them at the same time. This is grievance number 2, not inviting her. My sister knew something was going on and messaged my mom, and so I said I would tell her myself. She called me that evening and I told her. She asked, "So you're ahead of me? Why wasn't I invited today?" I told her we wanted to tell parents first and I didn't know how to tell her, and she hung up on me. It's been 5 months. I've sent her a letter explaining my actions and a bunch of flowers saying that I should have invited her with the parents, but she's still blocked me on everything. She's had an engagement party that we weren't invited to and had missed my mom's birthday and uncle visiting from a different country because I was there, so I can tell she's still livid. I think she wants me to grovel and try harder at apologizing, but I'm now upset at her behavior. It's reminding me of how she's been pretty nasty to me in the past, saying I asked for cancer, and how she has previously reacted to any good news in my life. We've never really been close and I'd say we're equally bad at not running to each other's aid. She didn't support me through my cancers, I didn't go to her housewarming etc. I need an outside perspective and am willing to answer my questions to understand if I'm an asshole and should try harder to apologize for lying to her and not inviting her to the reveal. Not the asshole. But you're being manipulated. How many times are you going to apologize for having cancer as a child? Your sister knows precisely what to do to make you feel guilty. And she's working it overtime. You've been walking on eggshells around her. And the harder you try to spare her feelings, the more things she's going to find to be offended over to make you feel guilty. If you had just disclosed the news to her outright, she'd probably scream that you always have to upstage her. There was no right way to tell her you're pregnant. Regardless, she's going to be offended. Stop trying to placate her. She's going to keep manipulating you as long as you do. In your place, I'd just tell her to grow the fuck up. No assholes here. Both your and your sister's feelings are valid. She can go low, no contact if she wants. In my opinion, I think this was inevitable based on how you described your relationship. Am I the asshole for pointing out my Sil and her partner's poor financial situation? I have been a silent reader of this sub, but today I made an account just so I can post this story and to know if I was an asshole in this situation. My husband, age 40, and I have been trying to get pregnant ever since we got married. We had no luck for 3 years of trying to conceive, so we went to a doctor and found out that one of us has a problem. Allow me to not go into detail. Because of this we tried IVF but was unsuccessful after 3 tries. We finally got pregnant last year but I miscarried. So, we made the hard decision of giving up and accepted that we aren't meant to become parents. Last week during my birthday party where we invited some friends and family members, my Mill asked how's the IVF going and I told her that H and I are no longer trying. Given everything that we've been through, Mill said that she understands and assured us that she supports our decision. Phil also said some words of encouragement. I was relieved that everyone seems to be supportive, when my Sil said something along the lines of, "I'm glad you guys finally made that decision. God chooses only those who are up to the challenge to become parents, you know." There was an awkward silence, then she continued, "You should not adopt either. I should mention that Sil and her partner have 3 children and she is currently pregnant with baby number 4. Her partner works part-time at a local supermarket while Sil stays home with the kids. So yes, they're not in a good financial situation and have to rely on benefits to get by. I answered Sil with, yeah, I'm sure God chooses only the right people to become parents. I wonder what the qualifications are though, because clearly financial stability isn't one of them. Another awkward silence before Phil changed the topic. Later that night I got a message from Sil calling me an asshole for looking down on them because they are poor. I did not reply, but I feel like an asshole because of what I said. Not the asshole. It's very telling that Phil changed the topic. You said what everyone else was thinking, apparently. What she said was inhumanely callous. I'm so sorry. Not the asshole. Clearly compassion and intelligence aren't on that qualification list either. Not the asshole. She served the crap, you just shoveled it back into her mouth. Not the asshole. What your Sil said was so vile. I'm not even a religious person, but I'm sure no God wants your Sil to speak on their behalf. What she said was definitely not the words of a godly person, and you didn't deserve that kick when you were already down. I'm sorry that you have such a thoughtless in-law. They who cannot take it should not dish it out. Pity your family didn't step in and shut her up first, but you had a perfect right to put her in her place, and fight fire with fire. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole for my response to my SIL's comment about my miscarriage? I'll preface this by saying that me, F31, and my Sil, Valerie, husband's brother's wife, never had a close relationship for some reason. But we are on okay terms most of the time. That is until she started making comments about my physical health. She always points out how thin and small my figure is. I've always been like this. Especially my flat chest or non-existent butt. In comparison, she is blessed in those areas. She cares so much about her appearance, and most of her time and money is spent on that. Anyways, I try to always take it easy and not get offended since she's just making observations. I finally got pregnant after 3 years of trying. The whole family were thrilled, but unfortunately, I had a miscarriage 2 weeks ago which was unexpected and quite devastating. My mill invited me for dinner last night as a way to cheer me up. Valerie and brother-in-law were there too. We were talking during dinner and Valerie brought up my miscarriage. She flat out said that the miscarriage happened because of my body and my small and limited potential it has to be able to carry a baby, NGL. This shook me hard. My husband looked at me hoping I'd let it go, but I looked at Valerie from head to toe, then pointed at her chest and said, "Oh, I see, that's where all your brains and class melted to." She was stunned, eyes wide open. Brother-in-law got involved saying this was not cool, but I argued that she made a jab at my body and basically blamed it for the miscarriage. We all started arguing, but my husband sat there quietly watching. I got up, gathered my stuff and told him I wanted to go home. He was quiet the whole ride home but scolded me hours later saying what I said was totally mean and out of line and his Sil was just making an observation. He told to call her up and apologize for what I said since she and his brother are upset, but I declined. I think maybe I shouldn't have said this and ruined dinner that was set up for me. Am I the asshole? I would not be putting up with that from the husband. Holy shit. Tell that man he can start setting boundaries with his family and defending you, or pack his shit. Not the asshole. Edit. Holy deet, my karma has gone from 50 to 5k from this. Thanks people. Stand up for yourself op, you got this. Your husband, his brother and Sil are ta. How could she even think, in the first place, it's okay to comment on your body at all? Especially after miscarriage? Skinny shaming is the same as fat shaming. You did what you have to do to defend yourself, and maybe you had to do this way before. I want you to know that you deserve a better husband who is going to be by your side at both your good and bad days. He lets her shame you a long time, and then in the moments like this? He even defended her. It's hard to believe, men like this exist. You're definitely not the asshole. Am I the asshole for not fully completing projects while my wife was gone for a ladies' weekend? My wife told me approximately 10 days ago that she was planning on going on a wives' trip to NYC for an extended weekend, and wanted to know if I was okay to watch our 2 boys. I told her not a problem. I know how hard she works as a stay-at-home mom. I wanted to give her a chance to get some R&R, and I knew that I would also get important stuff done. She left on Friday, and I dropped my boys off with my parents so I could catch up on projects. I took Friday evening off, as it was the first time I'd been truly alone in months. Drank some beer, ate pizza, made the way I like it, as I usually buy what the wife and kids prefer, and caught up on my favorite TV shows. I crashed early, and woke up Saturday ready to work. I made myself a list of things I wanted done. Fix the kitchen drawer, broken for 3 months. Fix all the 5 loose curtains rods. 2 boys do a number of curtains screwed into dry wall. Clean my half of the garage, which is my workshop. Get caught up on all laundry, wash, dry and fold, nearly 5 loads. Finish my youngest son's room. I needed to shiplap one wall, fill the holes and prime it. I got through the first 4 items on my list, but as I was finishing the last of the curtain rods, I tweaked my back. No clue how. I must have twisted wrong or something silly. I called it a night, and picked the kids up the following morning. Got them home and they asked if they could play their tablets. I saw a golden opportunity. I could finish my youngest son's room while they play. I got to it, until I had 2 cuts left, the bottom row. I went into my workshop to set up my table saw, and when I went to lift it, I aggravated my back injury from the day before and threw my back out. If you've never thrown your back out, it is one of the most painful things you can do. I called it a day, turned on football and waited for my wife to come home. She gets home, I slowly get up, and explained to her what I'd been up to while she was gone. I showed her the things I fixed, and progress on my son's room. I was expecting a boatload of appreciation. Instead, my wife looked super upset and walked out of the room. I followed her and asked why she was upset. She said that if I was going to do all this work, I should have known to do our son's room first, and everything else later. I honestly told her I was expecting some appreciation, that I had spent my weekend off catching up on all these tasks that had accumulated. Her response, in the most sarcastic and insincere tone, "Thank you, I guess." She then told me she was taking a break, and I needed to handle dinner. I explained to her I was in significant pain, and needed to lie down, and she just walked away. I ended up doing dinner, 2 baths and bedtime solo. I tried talking to her today about everything, and her response was, "It's your fault you got hurt, you should have managed your time better." She deserved a break after being in the car for hours, so she took one. Am I the asshole? Edit number 1. Commenting here is based on the comments. I don't think it was made clear in my original post. My wife knew my parents were watching the kids. My parents graciously took them as they knew I needed the weekend to catch up on both standard chores and household projects that are difficult to do watching 2 boys. My wife thought I was going to be taking the weekend to get my own R&R, and my getting all this stuff done was meant as a surprise, as I knew they were on her "this needs get done someday" list. I hope that helps clear up any confusion caused by my lack of detail. Edit number 2. So I thought I would post my final thoughts here on who is an asshole in this situation. I think both of us were assholes in our own way. Me for expecting appreciation and my wife for not showing any appreciation. The reality comes down to this. Being a parent is hard work. Whether you are a working dad, mom, or a stay-at-home dad, mom. Every day brings its own challenges, and its own rewards. Could my wife have shown appreciation? Yes, it would have been nice. But, what else is going on in her life that might make it hard? Could she be overwhelmed thinking about all she has to do next week, or could be that she's just exhausted from driving for hours? Should I have expected her to be super appreciative? I think yes and no are both fair answers. As some have stated, some of these tasks were part of being a homeowner. Should I have been shown appreciation for getting things done that probably should have been done weeks earlier? Probably not. As others have stated, I paid a price for my efforts unexpectedly by throwing my back out. For those who haven't had the experience, it sucks. Finally, my son's room. Should I have been shown appreciation for that surprise? I would like to think so. It's something she had talked about for weeks wanting done, and I wanted to do something nice for her. I'm going to close with this. My personal belief is when someone does something for you, out of the kindness of their heart, whether it's tiny or large, take a moment to say a heartfelt thank you. It takes just a moment to return kindness with kindness. Thanks to everyone who replied. I tried to respond to everyone. If I missed you, I apologize. I was expecting a boatload of appreciation. Info. Why exactly? This sounds like you were doing exactly what you were supposed to be doing, not going above and beyond or doing something extra nice just for her. After reading the entire post? Not the asshole, and I'm disgusted with all the "you are the asshole" comments here. What a load. To hell with those people, dude. You did what you could, when you could, and I commend you for that. I have thrown my back out before, so I get it. Never pleasant. Your wife sounds like an ungrateful person. You tried to get done as much as you can, and she simply didn't appreciate it.